Hello and welcome back to the Scotti-BYTE channel, and this is Scott. Well, today is video number 80 after 8 months, and I would appreciate if you would subscribe and like to the channel and help those YouTube algorithms push me along. Today we want to talk about Superpowered SSH. So Secure Shell is far more than just a remote terminal. The X Windows Display Manager that Linux desktops use is much more flexible than a Windows Display Manager that is only designed to display applications that are running on your local desktop. SSH leveraging X Windows displays can run programs on remote systems and display their GUI interfaces on your local desktop. As mentioned in my other presentations, SFTP is a part of the Open SSH server that makes accessing remote file systems without a GUI easy. In this video, we will leverage SSH with the X Windows Display Manager and SFTP to provide seamless access to remote applications. So here we are at the command prompt of one of my hosts, and I'm going to create a container called test, and it's going to be from an image called Ubuntu-2004. And that particular image has a couple of other things in there, as well as my Scott account, and we're bridging that to the main LAN. This is all covered on some of my previous videos talking about LXD containers. Now that the container is created, I can do a LXC list, and you can see that the container is running on my main LAN at address 172.16.1.145. Now let's SSH to the new system by doing an SSH to 172.16.1.145. Accept the new fingerprint, type in the password, and we're logged in. So the first thing we're going to do is a sudo apt update and a sudo apt upgrade, since there are 47 packages that need upgrading. Now that the system's been updated, I'm going to exit out of it, and I'm going to do an SSH-copy-ID to 172.16.1.145, and since the remote account has the username of Scott and the local account has the username of Scott, I'm not including the username. Otherwise, I would have said Scott at 172.16.1.145. It's asking for my password. When I type my password in, it copies the keys over. So now I can simply bring up the SSH command to SSH to 172.16.1.145, and we're logged in. And since it says system restart required, I will do a sudo reboot and type in my password. So on the local system, if I did the neofetch command, you could see that I was running Ubuntu 2204. And if I brought up neofetch on the remote machine, you can see that it is running 20.04, and you've also noticed that I can put a parameter after the address, and the only reason I include the quotes is because if there had been a space in my command with, for example, this ls-al command, I would have needed to put the quotes. So the goal is to be able to install a GUI program on this remote server, this LXD instance, and then be able to display it back on my local machine. In order to do that, the first thing we need to install is the X11 server utils with sudo apt install x11-xserver-utils. Next, let's edit the SSH server configuration file with the sudo nano /etc/ssh/sshd_config. Provide your sudo password And when you get into that file, do a Control W and let's search for X11 forwarding. And when we find that, we want to make sure that X11 forwarding is set to yes, and that X11 display offset is set to 10, and that both lines are uncommented. When you finish that, exit the editor and save your work, and then do a sudo reboot. After the reboot, go ahead and SSH back into your server instance, and once you get there, we want to install a program, and the program we're going to install is Bluefish. So Bluefish is a sophisticated text editor, and we'll see what it does here in a moment. So back at my host, if I type Bluefish, you can see that the program is not installed, and it tells me that I can install it. But now we can run the program remotely and display it back here by doing an SSH -X, the address, and the program name Bluefish. And now it will display the program back here locally. So let's put some sample data into the Bluefish text editor. And here you go. So now if I want to save this out and I do a save as, it'll save into the Scott directory. And let's say that I want to go to other locations. So let's go ahead and go to computer, and let's go to home. Let's go to Scott, and let's create a directory down here with the create a directory option, and we'll just call this documents test document. So the one thing you probably noticed is that this file was not stored on the local machine. It was instead stored on the remote machine, and that's really not too helpful when it comes to running programs remotely. We really want to have access to it on the local machine. So part of the way that we can create local access for our files is we can come over here and bring up a local instance of Nemo, which I covered in one of my previous videos. And you can change the location, toggle the location entry, and we can say sftp://172.16.1.145, and that will go over there. And we can go to the home directory, we can go to the Scott directory, and we can go to the documents directory, and there is our test document. Now, if we want to add a bookmark for that, we can simply say add bookmark, and you will see down here under bookmarks that we have a documents directory. It's a little bit confusing, so I'm going to go rename this. I'll call this remote documents. And then we'll take remote documents and we'll move it up in the list and put it right after my documents, which are local documents. If I go back here to my documents folder on the local machine, there it is. If I go to remote documents, there it is. So there's a very convenient way to be able to access that data even though the data is on the remote machine. So although we can run the Bluefish program with the SSH-X command here, and it comes up, it's just kind of inconvenient to launch it from a terminal. So let's exit the terminal, and let's instead go create a file. I've already created it here called bluefish.desktop. I'll put these in the notes, but open this with a text editor. And you can see that I have bluefish.desktop, which the comment is run Bluefish from a remote desktop, and then go execute /home/scott/desktop/bluefish.sh. Probably I'd put this in the home directory, but for the sake of the video, I just put it up here. And I said terminal equals false and application The type is an application. So the other thing you want to do with this is you want to go Properties, and you want to go to Permissions, and you want to allow executing file as a program. Then once we have our desktop icon here, we can go to our bluefish.sh, which was referenced in this, you'll recall. If we open this back up again, we can see this points to bluefish.sh. So if we go look at the bluefish.sh file, it's very simple. It's simply the SSH-X command that we had before. And the other thing we have to do with it is we have to go to Properties, Permissions, and put the X in the execute box to allow executing file as a program. So now that the bluefish.sh file is here and we have the bluefish.desktop, we can simply double click the bluefish.desktop and it launches Bluefish on the remote node but displays it back on my local system. So in summary, Secure Shell in conjunction with SFTP provides a powerful capability to run programs on other servers. This can offload the host desktop computer and also provide capability to run programs that for some reason might not be able to run locally. This technique can help test programs that you might not want to install or run on your local desktop. Anyway, that's it for today. Please subscribe and like to the channel, and we'll see you next time.